Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Six Questions with Alana. That's me. And today we have with us our wonderful, amazing chair, Jennifer Curan. Hi, Jen.
Hey, happy to be back.
Yay. And we're going to talk about one of your film pieces today from the fall show, A Bird's Eye View.
Yes, which even though it premiered in the fall, we filmed this in May
Yeah.
before.
Uh-huh.
So it's
Yeah.
like kind of like a weird spring, summer,
This,
fall
yeah.
project.
So
Yeah.
it was a collaborative process, and you're like, oh, we'll just do it now, and then we'll edit it, and then it came
Yeah.
together. So what was the creative process and inspiration to this work?
So as people may already know, I've been working with Christian Robinson's slow motion guy, but he also is a drone camera operator and has a pretty awesome slow motion and regular camera drone. And we used part of it for falling that I did in, I guess that was spring of 21 during COVID when we were creating our dance films. And we had fun, just we barely played with it. I mean, did a few little shots, but I was like, got the bug and I was like, oh, I want a drone, I want a film, I want a whole piece. And I really wanted the piece to be short and I wanted it to be simple. And my idea originally was that I just wanted them crossing from one side of the frame to the other. So like you just see this action happening, but that the location would change. So you'd see it like one location, two locations,
Oh,
three locations,
yeah.
four location. That was like kind of like my inspiration or like original thought. So we asked permission if we could film on campus because we're like, oh, that would be super easy. And they were like, yeah, you can. And we're like, great. And we're like, it'll promote the campus too. And then so once we got permission and we set a date, then me and Christian went out and scouted out locations. And I think we came back with a list of like 12 locations originally that we were like, these could all work, but depending on the day of, because it's like out in a public space, like we may or may not be able to use this space. Like, for example, the volleyball courts are one of them, but the day we filmed, there was a volleyball tournament happening.
Of
so
course.
obviously we couldn't use the volleyball courts.
Yeah.
But in the process too, and chatting with other people, we found out that the PAC roof has a helicopter landing pad. So we got to like kind of scout out that location, which ended up being a really fun location to film on. So I think we filmed 8 or 9 locations, from like tennis courts to parking lots to areas in the quad to the PAC roof.
You guys
You
were all
name it, we
over.
kind of, we circled around campus. I had 2 phrases that I taught the dancers that morning, like in a half hour. Like we're in the PAC in the long hallway back behind the stage, like, because it was a traveling phrase, and I taught them the phrases. They wore jeans and a solid colored tank top, and we put little kimonos that were colorful over. And it was like the most simple, like, hey, show up, you'll learn the choreography, we'll go out and we'll just film it at all these different locations. And then it was the technical aspect of playing with the drone. So me and Christian would get out there and we'd be like, well, how high do we want the drone? Do we want the drone? So we were like, let's keep it stable. That was like, let's keep it simple this first time. So we're like, stable, locked off. So we filmed it in regular speed once, and then we did slow motion as well. His drone does 240 slow motion. And then we had the dancers go across and they got to pick which phrase they wanted to do in different locations. And so we filmed it. So every dancer got like 2 passes basically doing a phrase in each of the locations.
That's so cool.
And I think we started at like 8 or 9 in the morning. And I thought we were going to wrap up by like 4. And I think we ended up being done at like 2 or 3. Like we wrapped up early. We got more locations done. Like the dancers were just incredible, like throwing stuff out there. And then of course, Karess with social media was there just filming behind the scenes. And we had some fun things. Like I jumped into one of the shots when we were on the roof and we did some circling. And at the end in front of the library, we did play with some up and down, where the drone started low and went up and played with that a little bit. So we did all that. We filmed it. And my intention was that I was going to edit it over the summer. And then the summer happened and I did not edit it. And the fall started and I was like, okay. Then I started looking at show order and I was like, we need another piece to like help with costume changes and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to get this piece done. So I think around like, it was before that, probably like early October, I was like, okay, this piece needs to get edited. So I, of course, was overly whelmed, like busy with stuff, just as normal. And so I reached out to Desiree Stafford, our videographer, and was like, hey, so like this was kind of my idea. Like, can I just give you this raw footage
Yeah.
and the music? I had music that I'd
Yeah.
gotten the rights to, and I was like, I have these two songs. I don't know which song, but I only want it to be one song, and I want the other one to be the credits. But besides that, I like literally have no
Yeah.
like make it your own. This
Yeah.
is just like I had that idea again of like coming
Yeah.
in, going across, going out. I besides that, I
Yeah.
don't really know. So I gave it to her and she made this amazing film and like totally went in another direction that I wouldn't have even like necessarily dreamed up of. And I really enjoyed watching it, and it's just fun and upbeat and easy.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what the day was about. It was about experimenting,
Yeah.
playing. The dancers had fun. It was really, really hot.
Yeah.
So we were all sweaty. I got burnt to a crisp because up on the roof, the sun reflects off the ground really bad. Yeah, it was like, it was just a day, but it was a lot of fun. And I think it really shows how much you can actually accomplish when you just set some really basic parameters and
Yeah.
go out and experiment and play with dance film
Yeah.
and a drone
And a drone.
and and a drone. So
How
hopefully
did you go
someday.
about choosing the music? You already mentioned that you picked specific music for it. How kind of what was the process of doing that?
So I did all the filming ahead of time, and I then looked at the footage and was like, okay, I knew I wanted it to be short, so I kind of limited myself. And I use this website called Pond5 where you can buy the rights to music. So I was
Yeah.
set the parameters for how long I wanted it to be, under 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And then it like you can pick like I wanted it to be fun and upbeat, and I found two kind of songs. They're both in the piece. One
Yeah.
is the actual piece, and then one's the credits. Um, so yeah, it's just it was really time and then the mood and feel of the piece that kind of drove the
It was
selection.
very fun.
So,
It was very fun.
yeah.
It was a nice fun watch, that's for sure. Um, so you kind of had it was all PDE dancers, right?
It was all PDE dancers. Originally, I thought I only wanted like 2 to 4 dancers.
Yeah.
So it's funny, I sent an email out because this was the Friday after their show.
Yeah.
So I thought like no one was going to want to do it. So I was like, hey, does anyone want to maybe like come and do this fun filming day? And you guys are all tired, like thinking that hopefully I'd get like 2 to 4 dancers. And then like every single person was like, yeah, I'm free. I'll do it.
It's
And
like you
so,
don't even know them, Jen.
so
of course, they're like, we're filming something over there.
Yeah, so they were all super excited and really energized, and I was really happy that after a week after closing our show that they were willing to come and dance all day outside.
They loved it. They were all so excited about it.
Yeah, it was super fun.
So because they were all kind of like similar experience level, but kind of maybe discuss how you set up those different shots of like one here, one there. Like what was kind of that process of setting them up in their shots?
Yeah, so setting up the shots, we actually had cones, and we set up like an in and out. So we had these little like baby cones, and you can actually see them in some of, if you're like look real hard, you can see them. Some of them marked the center as well, because the dancers would start to like go off the line. So instead of going like straight across, like all of a sudden it would like like you'd see them like veering off. Yeah. So they definitely had to stay true to the line.
Yeah.
Which sounds easy, but is harder when you're like spinning and jumping. And that's what the phrases weren't the easiest phrases in that way, that there was spinning and jumping and movement. Yeah, it wasn't so like they were just walking across,
even then, straight line's hard.
So I think what was great too, though, was that even though they learned the phrases quickly, I was able to clearly see the movement on everyone because they had strong ability. But they were also able to kind of make it their own with the timing. There wasn't any music for them. We were outside. But what was really fun is they would all cheer each other on. So they'd all like start at one side like it was a race, and then they'd like line up and it'd be like one at a time all the way to the other side. But then once they got to the other side, they turned into like the cheerleaders for each other.
That's so funny.
We're making it across. And then they were like little people, like they just would all run back together to the first side to like start again. Yeah, it was like a swarm of dancers. We did have some outtakes of them where we literally just recorded, they didn't even know, like on the drone of them like running back through the parking lot because we were laughing so hard because we were watching it on our little iPad or whatever. Yeah, running back and forth. Super fun.
You got a good group of dancers in that group, that's for sure. Yeah. They're fun. So we kind of touched on this, but we're going to discuss new techniques that you haven't used. The drone, you could have kind of only used that a little bit in falling, but not much. So how did that
Not much. So
change?
yeah, so second time really ever working with it.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely think I got hooked. I'm like much more interested in it. It definitely has influenced it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, I need a drone. I want to play with it. I still have never flown a drone. So I think for me, it's made me want to get a video drone and like actually play with it myself.
Yeah.
But I've been fortunate because Christian was like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, and he was really good about talking through like, this is what this looks like. This is what we can do. This is what we can't do. Um, because it is a little bit complicated. You have to have a license to fly a drone. You do have to have like a permit. You can only fly it in certain areas. We're
That I
close to
knew.
an
Yeah.
airport. So yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's
Irvine. Yeah.
actually a lot more like tricky than you would think. Originally, my beach film piece that I had done in that spring semester, I
Yeah.
wanted to have drone footage in it. But to
Oh,
get a
that makes sense.
permit to film on the coast anywhere in Southern California is
Oh,
like
God,
impossible.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So it was one of those things where me and Christian had been talking about it and then realized that just wasn't feasible. So this was kind of like our makeshift, like, let's do it, but do it in a way that's simpler and we don't have to go through, getting a really expensive permit and time
Yeah.
that takes
Especially
for that.
Newport and stuff. Yeah. They're
Yeah.
not easy with
No,
that
they're
stuff
not
either.
serious. It makes me have new appreciation for like the Real Housewives or like Christina on the Coast where they
Yeah.
have
Where
like
they film
drone footage of the of the
the
coast because I'm like
process.
that is not an easy thing to get.
No. I think they probably all share the same footage.
It's probably like open source.
Yeah, just here, you borrow it, you borrow it. At this point, they'd have to. What was a memorable moment that you experienced during filming day or even during editing process?
I think one of the funniest things was we were probably at like the second location and these girls with these huge like backpack coolers came like jogging over to us and they like ripped them open and they had like energy drinks in them and
Oh, because they were probably at the volleyball tournament.
they were like at the volleyball tournament or something, but they
Yeah.
just like saw us and saw that we were out there just like recording the dancers. They're
Yeah.
like, you guys are amazing. This is
Uh,
so cool that you're doing this. They started like throwing out drinks to the dancers. It was just like really unexpected,
yeah, I love that.
but fun. And I think throughout that whole day, because we were on campus, we kept running into people and they'd be like, hey, like no one really asked us what we were doing, but there was like a lot of just like observation from afar. But then it was also the people that had like really no idea what they were doing and they would like ruin the shot. Like we're filming and like
Yeah.
people would just be like, going to the library.
Well, especially if you're like drones too, like they're not seeing that there's a drone filming.
Yeah, they didn't get that we were doing that. And we were walking with like 2 wagons that we were dragging with us with all of our equipment. Yeah, so it was like we were quite a setup. And I feel like for like weeks after I'd run into people and they were like, what were you doing? I saw you guys with wagons and dancers. There was a drone. So I definitely think it made an impact. But the moment those girls started throwing out those drinks, I was just dying with laughter because I was like, where are we? What is happening right now?
The dance, I mean,
we did. I don't think anyone liked the drinks, just to also be clear. They were not the dancers' favorite flavors.
We won't name the brand.
I don't even remember the brand. So. I was a little hesitant for the dancers to even be drinking energy drinks with how hot it was. I was like, don't dehydrate.
Oh, yeah. Listen, but they need a little energy boost because it was so hot.
Yeah. Yeah, they need some energy boost, but I think a Gatorade may have been a better choice.
Yeah. When it's free and it's being handed out by girls' backpacks.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was cold, so
that's true too. Yeah, just at least put it on you somewhere.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I love that. Last question: what would you like to say to any potential students or dancers or choreographers who want to join our program here at IVC?
Come, I think we've really been making some great strides with Dance Film Works. We're really trying some interesting things and keeping what was kind of like rebirthed in my mind during COVID alive. So check it out, and you can check. We have so much stuff on YouTube now and other places, social media. Like follow us, see what we're all about, ask any questions you have, and come join us when you can, even if it's just as an audience member.
Yeah, it's a good time every time.
Exactly.
All right, thanks everybody for watching 6 Questions with Ivana, and we hope you enjoy a bird's eye view. Thanks, Jen.
Bye.